Good morning, church. I'd like to share a devotion with us this week. I was reading Psalm 68, and I often quote this to a number of different people. And in verses 5 to 6, it says this: "A father to the fatherless, a defender of widows is God in his holy dwelling. God sets the lonely in families." You know, we've just had Mental Health Awareness Week, and the theme was loneliness. Now, there's looking up on statistics and understanding loneliness a little bit more. Loneliness is actually associated with an increased risk of certain mental health problems, including depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, sleep problems, and increased stress. 500,000 older people go at least 5 or 6 days a week without seeing or speaking to anyone at all. 2/5 of all older people, around 3.9 million of them, say that television is their main company. And it doesn't just affect older people. A survey by Action for Children found that 43% of 17 to 25-year-olds who use their service had experienced problems with loneliness. They've also reported that 24% of parents surveyed said that they really struggle with being lonely. You know, humans were designed to be in connection with other people. Even though Adam had the Garden of Eden, and when I read those chapters, I just think, oh wow, imagine walking with God in the cool of the night, and he had the garden, and he had all of these incredible animals and everything around him. And yet it actually said that something was missing, that he needed another person. God said, it is not good for man to be alone. He needed someone to do life with, even though he had all those other things. So God designed us to need other people. And you know, as always, God has got a solution to our society's problems. Loneliness has been ramping up, and I think the COVID pandemic just really highlighted a lot of those things as well and made them a lot worse. But you know, God says he plays his part. In these verses, it says that he's the father to the fatherless, the defender of the widows. And back in those days, if you were a widow, if your husband had died, you could no longer provide for your family. You could no longer provide for your children. You were quite destitute being a widow. And so God was saying he wanted to be that for the most helpless and the most needy. And then he said, and he places the lonely in families. And who is it that he's wanting to provide a family for? Who are the lonely? And I would say that the lonely are those on the outskirts of community, those who look around and where friends and family should be, there's just empty spaces. You know, those who are really desperately wanting people to do life with, and yet they don't have anybody. So when God says that he sets the lonely in families, who is the family? Who are God's family? Friends, it's you and I. It's the church. You know, at Bridge Church, we felt a real call from God to be that place for people, be the family that people don't have. You know, our community hub, our community venue, our Bridge Central cafe spaces, we've got so many testimonies of people who have come in and they've unloaded and unpacked everything that they're going through at the time. And you know, our first response is not to try and fix everything, although if you're a bit like me, you kind of want to fix things for people. The most important thing is to listen. The most important thing is to have that time, put that time aside and listen to their heart, listen to what it is that they're saying. Because actually, very often when you give people an opportunity to unpack what is going on inside, they can be the solution to their own issues. They just need that time. They need that human connection. They need to know that somebody cares, somebody loves. And that's so, so important. And, you know, we are actually finding that we're getting more and more people through the doors than we've actually got people to listen to them. We're desperate for Christian volunteers to sit with people, have that coffee with people, listen to them, and be God's mouthpiece, be God's outstretched arms to these people who desperately need to be set into family. And that's so, so important. Every time I see somebody that walks into one of our places, or every time I'm talking to somebody who just is unpacking some things that they're going through at the moment, I just see them as a lost child of God. I just see them as that prodigal son that's coming, and they've just got some stuff all over them that just tells me that they've forgotten their value. They don't understand how much they are valued by God, and they should be valued by us, God's family. That's just a challenge to us today, really, isn't it? That God sets the lonely in families. So actually, can we be that family for people? Can we, through our actions, through our lives, through whatever we're doing, be that family for people? And you know what it's like when it's family. You'll do anything for family. you will bend over backwards to make sure that people know that they are loved in your family. So this is what we're wanting as church. So that's just an encouragement and a challenge to us today. Look out for those who God is wanting to place within his family. God bless you.